All right, guys, this is Reed, who's part of Grit Paranormal.
Yep. I'm one of the tour guides here at the house as well. I stay overnight every now and then.
Yes.
I've been investigating here forever, but one of my first experiences when I was a kid, I was roughly like 8, 9 years old. I had really bad sleep paralysis as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
So I remember one night waking up, I couldn't move, like, sleep paralysis.
Right.
And I turn my head over and I see a set of orange eyes, like right over the mattress of my bed, staring at me, and I hear growling, and it sounds like a tiger. And I turn my head back over and I'm thinking, okay, this is it, I'm dead.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I've had a lot of things happen. I've had nightmares of dolls that my mother owned.
Okay.
I had bad night terrors that I was a 9/11 victim falling out of a building. I've been grabbed where my uncle used to sleep after he passed away.
Right.
I've been grabbed on my shoulder where his bed was.
Yeah.
I've had TVs turned on and off just with me asking.
Jeez.
Yeah, so I've had a lot happen to me.
Okay.
When I was a kid, and my first time ever investigating was right here. So.
This is, like I said, this is my biggest investigation yet.
This is a good spot to be. This is the most famous haunted house in the world. So it's definitely cool to be here.
Yeah, my first experience was also as a kid, and I was telling, I think I was telling Tyler about it.
Oh, okay.
But no, it was Troy I was telling about how something about, I don't know if it's just me or if maybe just as children, we don't like closets. Something about closets freak us out as children. And I was staring at my mother's closet in her bedroom, and my cat Frosty's at the foot of my mother's bed, and I have my back to the window. And mind you, we're on the first floor, but you have to get to the first floor. If you were coming from if you were gonna climb into the window, you'd have to kind of like climb on like a kind of like a lip to get over. So there's no way someone was gonna be
I'm a big
getting through the window just to tap me. And I'm literally just standing there, just staring at her closet. And suddenly I feel something grab me from behind the curtain. I turn around, and all I see is a floating torso.
You having a good time?
Behind the curtain. I can make out like the facial features, but it's like it's wearing a drape. I can make out the empty eye sockets, the empty hole the nose should be, but I can't see the mouth. And I just remember going to scream, and it was as if I was gagging on my own audio. Like I was.
You're just mute.
Yeah, it was like.
I could totally do that. If you guys wanted that first.
It's like when when you like scream so much, your voice gets really hoarse, but mostly just mute and makes like sound. That's literally what came out as I was trying to scream. Unable to move, frozen, just frozen for like probably 3 minutes. But to a 5-year-old, 3 minutes is we don't understand the concept of time. So, to a 5-year-old, 3 minutes is like forever.
Yeah.
And I was just frozen, unable to do anything, and just seeing that thing just stare at me. The minute I was able to move, I bolted out of my mother's bedroom as fast as I could, into the kitchen. My mother was making dinner, and I just was crying hysterically, uncontrollably, not even just saying anything, just making incoherent sounds. And about a week later, after that experience, I had night terrors, and I would wake up with cold sweats from that experience. And then about a few days later, after those night terrors and cold sweats, everything just kind of stopped. Like the memory just kind of locked itself away. It was basically my subconscious put a mental wall up for the next 10 years.
Right.
Until my second experience at the Denver State Hospital in 2005. Where me and my friends went up there, and we're just, hanging out. We see this tall, 7-foot tall figure at the end of the hallway. It's tall. It reminds me of, it almost looks like a Dementor.
Okay.
It has that kind of, like, lankiness, but it's got, like, the black cloak mist-like, kind of. And it's on the ceiling, kind of, like, shambling towards us. And I can just see, like, the eyes, but they're not specifically, like, red, glowing red. They're more like dying embers of a torch.
Okay.
And that's all I can see in those, like, empty eye sockets was just, like, the dying ember underglow.
It's terrifying.
Oh, it was extremely terrifying, and we left. And as soon as like we were leaving, I walked down the ramp, and I looked back up, and the second floor window when we first approached was boarded. So as I'm looking back at that same window, the board's gone, and there's that entity staring out the window as if it's like staring through me.
Jesus Christ.
And as I am just like having a staring contest with this entity, it's like the wall slowly starts to crumble, and all of the memory and the experience of my first experience kind of slowly started to creep back in.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I've had something like this happened before.
It might have been the same thing.
It might have. I honestly don't know, and I won't know now because Denver State Hospital has been converted into condominiums.
Oh.
Yeah, just make new home for people, and you're basically just desecrating.
I definitely meet up
with
somebody that works with it just to see
yeah.
what it is, because it say if it's like a thing that happens every 10 years, and it's getting worse and worse every time.
Right.
Who knows what it's gonna look like when you see it again? Like the more acknowledgement.
So that's the thing. I haven't seen it since, which is very weird.
Right.
But that was what got me into like the paranormal. What got me fascinated with it.
Right.
And I had my first like official investigation was at the Devil's Tree in New Jersey, and that was in like December of 2019. So it was absolutely freezing and wet out. And this got I didn't have the cameras I had at the time, but this, I don't know why, but this went off when I put it up against the tree. Mind you, a tree should not have any electromagnetic field, and it was very, very weird. My second experience investigation I would say was Letchworth Village, which I showed you the clip, which was pretty insane. I've been to Letchworth Village twice now. I've also been to Mansfield Training School and hospital in Connecticut. So me and my friends went there like 2 days before St. Patty's Day. So it was like, for some reason, it was like 60 degrees out. So it was really nice out being, March. And so we're like going in there, and we found the underground tunnel, which was really cool. And we went through it, which brought us out to like, I think it might have been like the industrial like factory where they had like generators. Is probably how they kept the hospital like backup power for whenever there was like a storm, because it's New England.
Yeah.
And so then we go back to the main building that we first went in. We found the tunnels, and I was just taking photos because it was really cool, like to see like all the art and all the stuff. And I posted on Instagram, and my best friend, she's like, "Hey, there's something following you." I'm like, "What?" So in the corner that I took, and she pointed it out, I couldn't see anything in that corner. It's like so damn dark. And she just, circled it for me, and I was like, "I don't see anything. What do you see?" And I put it into my photo editing. I exposed the exposure. I made the exposure like I brightened the exposure, and you can see a shadow figure peeking out behind the door, and you can even see like the hand on the door, like, and it was like it was about the height of a child.
Okay.
So, because Mansfield Training School was a hospital and a school for children, and I was like, "How do you catch these things that I don't see?" She's like, "I don't know, and just like, I see them," and I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome, that's great, but like, shit."
Thank you.
And then I think.
All right, guys. So now I will be going upstairs next, where I will introduce you to Tyler and Chase. All right, later. What got you into ghost hunting paranormal? What was how did you first get into it?
Here, let's go over here so we don't...
Yeah. I already got Troy and Reed's story, and I gave my story as well, so I feel like everyone has their own stories.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. I've been doing YouTube for 7 years.
Oh, wow.
And nothing throughout that whole time has ever taken off or anything like that. But I always liked it. I always liked making the videos, having fun with it.
Yeah.
And going down, I knew Troy from high school.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know who Reed was.
Right.
So Troy was telling me how they're going to start paranormal investigating.
Okay.
So they went along with that, and I was like, oh, that's very interesting. They
Right.
came here for their first night, which they did a few like side things.
Right.
But this was their first big one, and everyone knows about the Conjuring House. I'm a big horror movie guy.
Yeah, I mean,
And
aren't we all?
So I was like, all right, that's super interesting. So he did these Facebook Lives, and
Mm-hmm.
I joined them. So at first, I was just messaging him, seeing what they were doing throughout the night.
Right.
And I thought it was pretty interesting. So I kept talking to him, and then he used to tell me how they're filming for YouTube.
Okay.
So I originally was talking with them, and I helped them with 2 thumbnails,
Mm-hmm.
and showed them, a different way that they would have to edit, make the video the best that it can be.
Right.
So my whole initial thing was, I'm just going to help them, and I hope for the best.
Right.
Hopefully they do well.
Yeah.
And then Troy was saying how they're going back to the Conjuring House. And I was like, all right, I would be interested. Let me know.
Right.
It was full, and then somebody backed out, and I was able to get in there.
Nice.
So
Talk about luck.
Conjuring House was the first spot to where I've ever investigated, and I did it with these guys. It went really well, and it was really exciting, and ever since then, we've been, for a year and a half going to all these different spots, and now for when we wanted to get into the Conjuring House to where now we're hosting events, and I mean, it's just bonds that we're building. You can't take it away from the experience that we've had.
Yeah,
And
no, that makes perfect sense.
It's been really interesting, really exciting.
Yeah.
And it's all about trying new things and getting out there, going out of your comfort zone, because you'll never know what you like and what it can lead to in the future.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, now I've been into the...
Did you ever have any experiences as a child, or is this like...
No.
Okay, so you're one of those kind of people.
I knew nothing about the paranormal.
Okay.
I would watch a few videos here and there, but I have no past experiences.
So before all this, you were definitely say you were a skeptic.
I wouldn't say I was a skeptic, because I like to believe
right.
The idea of it, but
you just hadn't had the proof yet.
I haven't had the proof. Exactly, I haven't had the proof.
Makes sense.
But,
yeah.
It was definitely one of those things to where are ghosts real?
Mm-hmm.
But I was always.
I mean, Einstein. The way Einstein said it is, he believed we don't know what happens to the consciousness, the human consciousness once the physical body dies. It's like that. That's energy. Yeah. That energy, it just doesn't dissipate. It has to go somewhere.
Oh yeah, and I mean.
And I find
all around it,
Yeah, and I find that to be such, and it makes it's so fascinating to think when you really do think about it. We have this technology that can pick up on energy spikes, energy changes,
it's intense.
Changes in temperature, and I've always known that there was something in this world, but I just didn't know what.
Yeah.
I knew that we weren't alone on this plane of existence.
Yeah.
Because I had my first 2 experiences as a child.
Okay.
And I already told Troy and Reed, and so I don't mind telling you my story because I think it's fascinating, and like I said, I don't know if it's just me when it comes to children, something about children and closets. I don't know if it's just me who didn't like closets as a kid, or if that's all children, all 5-year-olds who did not like closets.
Yeah, no, I was never that kid that was afraid of the closet.
Okay, I mean, well, good on you, man.
Yeah. I mean, it helps when, as a child, my closet was full of clothes.
Right.
So I knew nothing was getting in there anyways.
Right.
But yeah, it was. Everyone has their, fears.
Yeah. So, and I don't know where it stemmed from. I don't know what it stemmed from.
Yeah.
But something about just closets as a kid I just didn't like. And I remember I was in my mother's bedroom, staring at my mother's closet with my back to the window, and my cat's at the foot of my mother's bed, and so mind you, we're on the first floor. So to like, kind of like that. Like this should be considered like the first floor.
Yeah.
But to get into a first floor window, you'd have to like kind of like hoist yourself up on something. That's kind of how the apartment was. So I was like, there's no way anyone will be behind this window. So I'm just staring at her closet, and something grabs me from behind the curtain.
Oh, interesting.
I turn around, and all I can see behind the curtain is like a floating torso with like, it's the curtains are draped over its face, so all I can make out is the empty eye sockets.
Yeah.
The empty, space where the nose should be, but I can't see the mouth. And I just remember going to scream, and it was as if I was like being strangled.
Yep.
Like, when you go to scream, you're like, ah.
Oh, yeah.
It literally came out just like that. I was like gagging on my own sound. I was unable to move, unable to do anything for like, 3 minutes. But 3 minutes to a 5-year-old, we don't understand the concept of time.
Oh, no, yeah.
So it felt so much longer to me at 5 years old.
See, it's interesting you say that because I had dreams like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you had dreams. I would have preferred. The dream.
No kidding. But...
because holy shit. And I just remember my cat started hissing because he now could see what I'm seeing, and as soon as I was able to move, I bolted out of her room as fast as I could into the kitchen. My mother was making dinner, and I just was uncontrollably crying hysterically, making incoherent sounds. She had no idea what had happened.
Yeah, I mean, you were scared,
Oh, it was horrifying. And a few days go by, and I'm now waking up, screaming bloody murder because I'm now having night terrors and waking up in cold sweats for a 5-year-old.
It's tough.
I was like, what is happening? What is my life? And, almost a week goes by of that, and suddenly the night terrors, the cold sweats, the memory, the experience, just completely gone.
Really?
It was as if it was basically my subconscious put up this wall to protect me.
Yeah, that's what it sounds. That's interesting.
And it lasted for like 10 years because at 15, me and my friends went to Denver State Hospital. Have you heard of Denver State Hospital?
Yeah.
So you know a little bit about that.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's no longer there. It's now condominiums. I'm like, why would you do that? Like, you've literally just desecrated a mass grave.
Oh yeah.
Like, because even people living there now get crazy shit there sometimes. Like, literally when they first got converted, a mysterious fire broke out.
Yeah.
In the building, and they couldn't figure out what caused it, and it just put itself out mysteriously as well. But anyways, so a week before we went there, a mysterious fire broke out, destroying like majority of the main building.
Yeah.
Like the floor was just gone, except for like maybe 5 feet from the entrance. That was all we had. And me and my friends literally go there like a few days before Halloween. Mm-hmm. So we get inside. We can't go any farther than like 5 feet from the door.
Yeah.
So we're just like looking around, and all we can see is just like this huge hole from like where we are down this hallway. It's just this long black hole of like the floor had essentially just kind of caved in. Yeah, like we couldn't even get to the other floors. Like the stairs were like crumbling, and the railing was just. And my friend notices something at the end of the hallway. So he's like, yo, there's something at the end of the hallway. And I look, and I'm thinking, wow, that's a really elaborate, like, Halloween decoration. Because it's, like, on the ceiling.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's really elaborate. Like, someone really had to go through, like, a shit ton of effort to get that up there.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it starts moving towards us. So I'm still thinking, I'm like, wow, that's really, really elaborate. Like, someone must have had like a money to drop on this decoration, especially because, you know, animatronics in 2005, still very new.
Yeah.
And it was really to be able to get your hands on shit like that, you really had to have money.
Yeah.
So that's where my mind was like pointing to, and I'm like, okay. And now it's like coming towards us. I look, and it makes eye contact with me, and I see in the empty like eye sockets are like the dying embers of a torch, like kind of underglow. And it's like 7 feet tall. It's black, and it's got like a black smoky cloak, almost like a Dementor.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, that's moving a little bit too realistic to be a decoration. And that's when I was like, okay, this is not funny anymore.
Yeah.
So we leave. We didn't even like try to stay to see what the hell it was.
Oh yeah, no, I would have thought the same thing.
And as we're going down the ramp, I looked back up at the second floor window, because when we first approached, that same second floor window had a board across it.
Mm-hmm.
So now as I'm going down the ramp, I look back up at the second floor window. That board is gone.
Really?
And the entity, that figure, is now staring out the window at me. Alright guys, well, that's the about end of this. We didn't really have much time. But Penhurst Asylum next month, so keep a lookout for that one. And I will see you in the next video. Stand out.